Alrighty, 42 Sports is back on the air again. Tonight we will visit with the head Greyhound, Papa Greyhound, whatever you want to call him, the voice of the Greyhounds, David Black. Coming right up right here on 42 Sports. We first want to thank Roof Raiders, Alarms Plus. These guys getting behind 42 Sports, getting behind the vision, seeing what's coming down the road here. Great guys. Got a couple other sponsors going to be getting on with us here down the road. If you want to sponsor this thing, get on with us. But right now, let me pump up my guys. Roof Raiders. Go see Jordan Kohler. Call Jordan Kohler. Get you a roof today all across this great state. Alarms Plus. You need great service. Going out of town, your house, whatever, your business. These guys will come and look after it. These guys do it all. Alarms Plus, Jonesboro, Arkansas. David Black coming right up right here on 42 Sports. The man, the myth, the legend, David Black coming right up. Got the man, David Black, back with us again this week. Dave, the man, the myth, the legend. What do you think about that, my friend? I tell you what, got a big name over in that Newport area.
Well, I tell you what, Alan Russell, it's always a pleasure to get on and talk a little high school sports and talk about the Newport Greyhounds on 42 Sports. It's always my pleasure to get to join you. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is, but glad to be back, my friend. Glad to be back.
Yes, sir. We're both vertical, and we get to talk about this football game that you guys had over at Salem, Dave. That can be a hard place to play, but I tell you what, Hounds went over there and said, not tonight, didn't they?
Well, we knew coming in that Salem did some things that were, not right down our alley on what we did well, but we made some adjustments with those guys, and we think, especially from a defensive side, and our defense proved the point. We thought maybe they would hold on to the football a little bit longer like Melbourne did, and they didn't. And, we were in a tight football game, and those guys were giving us all we wanted early, but the Hounds just had a little bit too much speed, and defensively, you take away, a couple of long passes that they had, but they deserve to do that because they made plays, and, we're pitching a shutout again. But, again, our offense got to cranking a little bit the other night, and our defense just plays lights out. And, to win championships, you got to play good defense, and Hounds are playing good defense right now.
Absolutely, Dave. And that leads me into my next question. When this stout Hounds defense, that's been the knock, leading up to this year when Newport's this, and this, but the defense. But this year, well, you can't say that. When's the last time the Hounds has had this stout of a defense? Because it's really looking scary, my friend.
Well, statistically, it's been years. It's been 10-plus years. And I do know this, from an athletic standpoint, and, we're playing AAA football now, where, we played 5 single play. It's hard to outsmart them. To be better than this defense, you got to have a great offense. And I like it. It's been a long time since we've been this good, no doubt.
Absolutely. And I know we're not supposed to look ahead, Dave, but I'm going to here. The matchup with Hardin Academy, this Newport defense against that Hardin Academy offense, that's going to be a treat, isn't it?
Well, it's going to be a great challenge for our football team because last year Harding kind of had their way with us. We had a couple of good opening drives there, throwing the football, and they made some adjustments. And, they have almost everybody back offensively. And big football game coming up tomorrow night at Melbourne. Harding Academy goes to Melbourne to play, and that'll be a dandy. I'm going to watch that on live stream. But, we're looking ahead, and we prepared all week, for these guys. Glad to have the week off. And I know this, their offense is tremendous. They're better offensively than they were last year. I'm not so sure they're as good defensively, but let me tell you what, they're going to be the best defense we've seen all year. And it's going to be a classic football battle, and it may come down to who has the football last. But more importantly for the Hounds, Alan, as we look forward, we have to clean up some stuff offensively. Like we get a lot of penalties before the snap, and Coach Heisley calls them pre-snap penalties. You can't have mistakes against a good football team like Harding because they'll take a mistake and they'll put 7 points on you real quick.
Absolutely, Dave. For those that hasn't, that's going to listen to this week's episode, tell them a little bit about that defensive line, who some of the kids are on that line, because it's real scary line that needs to be get some exposure.
Well, we got a Hill kid who wasn't a starter that's playing a defensive end for us right now that's just been outstanding at that position. And then we got what we call we got a couple of twins that play up there, Abel Robinson and Jagger Robinson. They're really not related, but we call them the Robinson twins. I mean, these guys are real, real good. And you take Jagger's a senior. He's a hard-nosed player. He's just one of those kids that gets after it. And then Tyler Johnson at the other defensive end, he's a kid that started at linebacker for us his first game as a sophomore, and broke his lower leg in the very first opening series and missed the whole year, and then came back last year and wasn't quite 100%, played pretty well, but he's played lights out for us also. And, matter of fact, we lost his little brother just a couple of weeks ago to the exact same injury. And bless his heart, he's going to be out for the rest of the year, obviously, and, probably miss some of the first part of next year, but he'll be back. But, those four guys they're the anchor. They're the anchor for our defense. And anytime you can put seniors up there, and then a sophomore as good as Abel Robinson is, we're solid, our front four. And then we've got some guys sitting in backup position roles that do an awesome job for us also.
Absolutely, man. That defensive line is fun to watch. Dave, let's talk about Eli Alcorn. This is unbelievable, man. This guy almost blows his hand off with a firework in the off season. And Dave, he's out here not only performing, but performing well. How's he doing it?
Well, he's just one of those kids that's just got a heart that's very, very big, and he understands the great Greyhound tradition. He understands his role. Both of his hands were affected. You talk about his right hand, but it blew up in both hands. And his biggest deal, has been a mental deal to overcome. He has the physical. There's no doubt that he was going to, get in the therapy and do the therapy that he needed to do to get right. But to get there mentally, and let me tell you what, I'm not surprised that Eli's back playing. Knowing that kid, knowing his mom and dad, and knowing his family history, this kid was going to do everything in his power to get back and be a part of this program. He's played 6 different positions for us since he's been back, including quarterback some. But let me tell you what, he's been a welcome addition. But I think what Eli brings to the table more so than anything else is his positive mental attitude and his leadership qualities that he brings to this football team. DJ Marshall's the quarterback, and Eli knew that coming in. As good a quarterback as Eli was last year. And then, but Eli was just, man, I'll just come back and try to do anything. And I'll be on the special teams. But this guy's a contributor, and my hat's off to him. And, his folks, his mom and dad, and they're just good people, good, strong Christian people. And this guy has come from absolutely from you might not ever play again to being a contributor on a real good AAA football team. We're excited about it for sure. I
tell you what, if there's any colleges going to hear this, the colleges are always talking about those tough-minded kids and those tough-skinned kids. This Alcorn needs to be on your campus, don't he, David Black?
Well, he's a great athlete. He's a tremendous student. He's a team player. He's a hard worker. He's fast as he can be. And he's just one of those guys who's got great leadership qualities. He's the type of kid that you want your kids to grow up like and say, boy, if my kid could grow up, or my grandkids could grow up, be like Eli Alcorn. I got a 5-year-old grandson that just loves Eli to death. And when he goes to watch the Greyhound play, he says, I'm going to watch Eli's Greyhound play that. So he's a role model to these young kids too, and that's awesome, man. Awesome. You know
what, David's inspiration for all of us. Great kid. Theron Davis. 3-star recruit now, Dave. This guy, hey, he's every bit of it, ain't he?
Well, Theron is just one of those rare talents that has tremendous speed. He can stop on a dime and get going at full speed about his second or third step. He's a tough kid. He don't mind to, grind it out, stick his nose in there. If he can't outrun you and he knows it's inevitable that there's somebody there fixing to tackle him, let me tell you what, he's going to make you take the punishment. He's just that type of player that he doesn't mind to dole it out. He can do that. This kid's he's a big-time recruit for sure, and he's going to make somebody a heck of a college football player.
Absolutely. And Dave, my final thing I've got for you tonight is that go back to the Marshall kid. He could have said, when it happened to Alcorn, he could have said, I'm not prepared or ready yet for this moment. But Dave, he's looked this starting position right in the eye and said, I'm going to own this thing, hasn't he?
I interviewed him as the star of the game last week against Salem, and he said just as much. He said, I just took it a little bit more seriously coming in this year. And I think what he was trying to say is that when he was in junior high, he just let his talent take over, and he did those things. And that sophomore class is loaded. And, he's got a great group of kids that support him. And there's no doubt that this kid has made our offense go. And not saying that Eli wouldn't have, because Eli would have also, but when Eli goes down, then you wonder what the heck's going to happen next. And let me tell you what, DJ Marshall has stepped in and done far, far more than we ever expected another sophomore to do. And I said it on an earlier show, not very often in the history do you have two starting sophomore quarterbacks in back-to-back years, because normally your starting quarterback as a sophomore is going to be your starting quarterback as a junior. It just worked out that we've had two real good ones start as sophomores for the Newport Greyhounds the last 2 years.
Absolutely, Mr. Black. And we end it with this. Let's talk about what's going on over at Cable 15, what y'all got going on, what's some plans you got coming up here for Halloween.
Man, Cable 15 TV is just rocking and rolling, and I think the older I get, the more fun I have. I've got a young group that helps me, Hayden Schultz, 23-year-old guy, my son 30 years old, Josh Nation, who's our camera guy and our producer and director. He's like 40 years old. I got a lot of young blood with me, and a lot of young bucks, as I call them, that they kind of not only carry their weight, they carry me through everything we do. So I couldn't do it without them. And of course, my wife also works with us, and Linda Black's just a treasure and a pleasure to be around. And that's the Cable 15 TV team, and we're getting after it. They're making me stay young, my friend.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Black, it's always a pleasure. And until this next we'll go ahead and have one next week. I know you guys will be off, but we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about the upcoming big game y'all got going. So we'll do this again next week, my friend.
That'll be awesome, Alan. And again, I appreciate what 42 Sports does throughout not only Northeast Arkansas, but around the state of Arkansas, giving us small folks who don't get a lot of that statewide coverage, getting us some coverage and covering the small schools. Thank you again. I love what you guys do.
Yes, sir, Mr. Black, and you're a bit much part of this as I am, brother. Good night, Mr. Black, and 42
Good night,
Sports.
my friend. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Good night, Mr. Black.
Bye-bye.
42 Sports. That's David Black. I'm Alan Russell. Till next Thursday. That's going to do it right here tonight on the Newport Greyhound Football Report. David Black filling you in on what's going on with them Greyhounds every week right here on 42 Sports. Last week was my birthday. Couldn't get it in. But we're back now, and we got this thing rolling again. And you want to know what's going on with the Newport Greyhounds? Come to 42 Sports every Thursday night right here around 7 o'clock. We're going to have the man, David Black himself, joining us. I'm Alan Russell again. Good night. 42 Sports thanks you for watching this 42 Sports production. Tonight's interview was the head Greyhound, David Black. Tonight's interview was sponsored by Roof Raiders of Jonesboro, Arkansas. These guys are presenting sponsor right here on 42 Sports, and they're helping us to get to where we want to get. If you want to jump on board with us, come on over. Until next week, I'm Alan Russell. Good night.